Hi, welcome back to Hockey Moms with Stanley's Cups for our second episode. I'm Dayton.
I'm Felicia, and today we're going to talk about the hockey community and the hockey world in general, sort of what that means, what it's like being in it, what it's like when you're a family coming into it who has never experienced hockey before, and how to adapt to that and the network you develop as a hockey player.
Yeah, it's a huge, super close niche.
Absolutely.
And specifically in Minnesota here, in our hockey experience, we have over 80 hockey associations. Okay, so our hockey association, we're around those people all the time. We see them nonstop. And it's, yes, you have your team, but you also see the families from mites all the way up to the high school level. They're always there.
Yeah, and it's a community. You are really a community. There's been a few situations in the past few years in the association our kids play for that have been really some tragic situations, and watching those communities come together and then watching the bigger communities come together, right? They had support from the Wild. They had support from the Gophers. They had support from the NHL. These things were mentioned, these huge tragedies, and seeing that in the hockey community is so cool. Kind of like when those Humboldt Broncos had that accident too, that junior team, and the hockey community and how much support there was. It's something that when you haven't grown up in it and you don't know it, I can imagine how overwhelming and weird it seems.
Yeah.
But having done it my whole life, I'm kind of like, that's just what it is. But I've talked to people who are new to hockey and they're like, this is a weird world. So
it's special too. And I played multiple sports growing up, and I feel like hockey is really the one where it is so deep. It has deep roots. It's a very strong community. It's a very connected community.
You show up to some place and you're talking with a parent who, you work with so-and-so who I work with, or you played with so-and-so, and all of a sudden you connect all these dots because your kids both ended up on the same hockey team, and it's a very cool world.
Yeah.
But it is weird to be on the outside and not having grown up in it. My kid's dad, he is not a hockey person, and he's like, you guys are almost obsessive sometimes. It's like, yeah, that's a fair word for it. And he's like, it's cool and I love it. And you guys are so passionate, but it's a lot because it is such a long season.
It's a long season, absolutely. And I feel like also here in Minnesota with our long winters, it's such a popular sport too. And the numbers are pretty phenomenal for participation. And growing up, my dad played hockey and my mom was a hockey cheerleader.
Yes. And that was like the power couple in the day. Like that was the couple to beat.
Oh, my dad was the star college player, and then my mom was the head cheerleader. It's like a Barbie and Ken story. Yeah. Anyway, so yes, my mom didn't play hockey, but she grew up in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, where hockey was also life. And she cheered for the hockey team. So she was around the hockey rink. She understood that niche too, that whole atmosphere also. So even if you weren't a player on the ice, you still appreciated that entire community. I mean, just think like my experience in high school, the entire town came together, even if you didn't play hockey or whatever. It was just the main event on a Friday night. You know what I mean?
Texas has football, Minnesota has hockey. Exactly. It is our Friday night lights, although it's 2 to 3 games a week. Practice of the day.
All the time.
And it was something too, I kind of talked to some of the parents on my daughter's team, and they said it's hard not having grown up in the hockey world because I don't know what camp to do. I don't know what or what level to sign my kid up for next. I don't know. Do I move them up? Do I not move them up? So that's a really unique thing too. I think that the hockey world's really good at welcoming people in, but it is really intimidating because
it's a competitive atmosphere.
It's still a very competitive thing, right? So some of them, they were like, I don't know, like people don't really seem like they wanted to share. And I was like, I don't think that's it. And I don't want people to ever feel that way.
Yeah.
But it is competitive still. So that gets hard too.
Well, no, or in the off season, you have those spring, summer, fall, AAA showcase leagues and stuff. And a lot of that is invite only.
Yep. And so who you know, which is part of it too. It's not just skill. It's who do you know? Who is senior kid? Who's, oh, you played hockey with so-and-so. Now they're running this team. Oh, you have a daughter this age, this birth year. Sweet. I put together a team. Do they want to come play? Liv is on a few teams strictly she has the talent. I'm not saying she doesn't. She competes. She's fine. But it was, oh, hey, the West team needs a player this week, even though we're on the East side. Can she play? And so she just ended up on it because we knew people, and that's that hockey world.
Well,
and it's great.
growing up as a goalie, goalies are hot commodity. And so I had friends, boys, girls, and I got invited for weekend tournaments because their goalie was out of town or their goalie was hurt or sick. And it's just kind of like I got to experience all these different playing with the boys, playing with the girls, all these different
Playing
AAA stuff.
older.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it was just for free too because they needed a goalie. And so it's like, yeah, I'm free. Here I go.
So that's another thing. I remember when I was younger, it was, hey, if you play goalie, if your kid plays goalie, it's half off your association fee.
Yeah.
Is that still like a thing for goalies?
Still a thing.
There's a nice hockey tip for people. If your kid's expressing any interest,
Yeah.
because it is hard to get goalies. Although my daughter's team had the opposite problem this year. We had 3 kids.
I love that problem though.
And they were like, let's go. They loved it. They were like, here for it. We had 6 coaches and 3 goalies. This is every hockey team's dream right here. We got coaches, we got goalies. Like nobody gets that.
So there's the connections and stuff and who you know, but also if you're coming from a different association, yes, there can be overlap. People in the hockey community all across Minnesota, we're all connected. We know people.
Right.
But if you're coming fresh into a new association, that's really hard to transition also because not every association is the same. The numbers are not always the same. So it's either going to be very competitive or it's going to be a lot more open possibilities for different positions filling teams. And maybe it's like a Minnesotan thing, but I feel like getting into a friend group in a hockey community is tough. I'm not from
our association.
And so it took me a while.
I won't lie. There was like 2 seasons that our kids played together and I was like,
I never talked to you.
I was like, I don't know her, whatever. And that's a different thing because I grew up in our association. So I show up at the rink and my dad is at all of it. My mom's at all of it. And they're like, oh, hey, so-and-so, what are you doing here? And it's, here's so-and-so whose kid's playing now. And my dad coached so-and-so. And now my daughter's playing with their kid and I played with their kid. And it's this whole world of, I've grown up with these people and I've known them my whole life.
Yeah.
Some of them, I met them when I was 1. Like my best friend, her big brother and my brother played hockey together starting in mites. And we were 1, I think. And now our daughters play together. And it's
wild.
And that's our association. Like that is the hockey world.
Well, from someone's perspective of coming to an association I didn't have any prior relationship to, yes, I knew people who had played through this association or I knew of people. I think the biggest thing to help with that transition, and granted, not everyone has the time or availability, but to be present, but to also put in the volunteer hours or to help out any way you can.
Absolutely.
Definitely takes a lot of work because there's the first year or 2 of being in the association. I just stood by the boards by myself or my parents would come, but it was just kind of like, I have no idea who the majority of these people are. I even seen kids into the association with parents that do not come from hockey backgrounds at all. I've seen so many parents learn to skate, go on the ice and help out, which is amazing because hockey is not an easy sport to just be like, oh yeah, I'll jump on the ice and help out.
Right. Absolutely.
But I've seen, granted, I have a hockey background, but just seeing these families with no hockey background get completely embraced and like supported in that journey because it's a lot. It's not just what level, it's what equipment, or is my kid's stick fitting correctly, or is there more we should be doing? And obviously there's so many options outside of your association for training, but also there's sometimes too many options. And so it's nice to have people's feedback on like where to go, what their kids liked, what's necessary, what's not necessary.
Yeah, you can get overwhelmed with the options. And not only like you're saying camps, but I mean, you can walk into a store to get your kid hockey equipment and there's 15 different options for an elbow pad. There's a million different sticks. There's a million different skates. And that's one we really do plan on one point sitting down and doing a video where we're showing you like, how do these fit? How do they do that? That's something we really want to do for you guys and show you, but it's a hard thing to do.
Like, what can you get used?
Right.
Or what do you need to buy brand new? Like all that is, how would you know? Right.
If you've never done it, how would you ever know what to do. And I've seen too, it's super cute. I have seen some newer parents who have the official our USA Hockey rule book. And I was like, that is adorable. I love it. They are committed. But with the camps, it's hard too, because a lot of camps, sometimes you don't necessarily go by age, right? So sometimes you put your kid into their might, but they're skating at a sport level. And if you don't understand how this camp works, you're putting them in with mites, and all of a sudden this kid is in a hockey camp where some of the kids can barely skate. And it's something that you have that knowledge. And honestly, if you reach out and you ask, people are going to help you, but it is intimidating.
Yeah. I think all in all, though, yes, it can be a little cutthroat, even if it's just about kids. But I think the hockey community is very, very welcoming, very supportive. And, obviously, it's a different sport to get into and stuff, but it's worthwhile, the community 100%. To be a part of.
I love it. I was so glad my kid, I was nervous when I had kids. They don't like it. Yeah, but and it's great and I love it. And that's even kind of funny how we were like the first 2 years, like I saw you and I know, hey, like the Minnesota nice, oh, hi.
Oh, hey there.
But I still remember when we started to talk, and I remember at the end of the last, not this past season, but the one before was the last one the kids played together. Yeah. And it was coming up to Stanley Cup finals. And this is totally because of our name that I'm telling this story. It makes me laugh so hard. And you were sitting behind me in the bleachers. And I don't remember who was sitting next to me, but we were talking and you were like, hey, so what do you guys think of those Stanley Cups? And literally, and we were in a hockey rink. You were like, do you guys have one? And I'm like, no. Because I was thinking there was some replica Stanley Cup that I didn't have for my kids. There's some new thing I need to buy. I'm like, and I panicked. And then you're like, yeah, do you think they're better or worse than a Yeti? And I was like, oh my gosh, she's talking about those. I'm like, oh wait, yeah, I have two.
I remember that now that you say that.
And that's why I was like, and that's kind of like our name or whatever, that it's so funny that it has both of those. But I remember I was like, what did I not buy my kids? I'm like, oh my gosh, they're going to be so mad I missed something. And then I was like, oh no, it's my need to fit in that we're talking about. Not my kids. Got it. We're good. We're set. Yeah, I got two. But then it was funny. And so it is crazy that you're at. I mean, think of how many hours you've spent with these people every week, let alone tournaments,
because also you got to remember, you're not just there for only practice. You're there early so your kids can get ready. Mm-hmm. And then if your kids are anything like mine, they take their sweet old time getting out of the locker room. So you're just standing around waiting for that.
I don't know what my child does getting out of the locker room. I'm like, what are you doing? Granted, she's the biggest social butterfly ever. So
I think they just sit there and just observe and chat. And
I'm pretty sure she's usually in there bossing around them boys.
Yeah, someone needs to.
So it is a very fun community. Like we said, this is very specific to us. The Minnesota hockey world is a little different. I know once you get out into more like the East Coast, Illinois, those kinds of ones, you're driving more, right? Mm-hmm. You're spending more time in the car than you are playing because competitive hockey isn't at necessarily every association. It's just not. I mean, there is still very competitive hockey, do not get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But if you're not having 70 associations, you're having 5.
It's not a diluted
right. Area. It's not. And so it is a different hockey world there than it is for us. And you're also probably spending more of that hotel time together because you're traveling a lot. You're playing at these tournaments. You're leaving the state even to play. So that's a big part of it too, outside of Minnesota. That's the hockey world.
Yes.
And then also the hockey world of when you play beyond high school, right? The college level. These are some people that, they turn into your best friends and you're coaching teams together. That's kind of cool too. That's a whole aspect of the hockey world.
Now at my age, it's like these people I grew up in the hockey world with, and now I see them as parents coaching and stuff. And I love this. It's like the cycle that just keeps on going.
Right. And that's why I joked about my parents. You got grandparents, kids, grandkids now. Mm-hmm. That the grandparents coached the kids that are my generation who now we're coaching that. And it's so funny.
I love that.
And it's just continuing forever. And we've brought up, I love that now we're seeing those moms there. I see so many moms that I played with and they're on the ice.
Yeah.
And our association has wonderful female presence for coaches. That's some of their best coaches, in my opinion, are the girls out there putting it in.
Good to see.
It's a fun world.
Now that we're in the off season.
Yep.
And summer is quickly approaching.
Oh, right.
At the end of summer,
big rule
USA
change.
Hockey has a new big rule change. So starting August 1st, net guards are required for all USA Hockey players.
Under 18,
Under 18.
including refs.
I didn't know that.
So it's anybody under the age of 18 who's on the ice. Yep, I saw that one. So even if,
Wow.
because like you go to these games, right, and you got 10-year-olds roughing and the 5-year-olds, yeah, they need to be in them too. It's anybody under the age of 18.
This movement started after last year in October. Adam Johnson fatally passed away getting a skate to the neck. So it's a big safety movement. I know there's a lot of different opinions on this requirement. Before we get into that, though, I do want to say that Bauer has the shirts with the neck guard attached.
Wrist to it too. It's on their wrist.
And it's a wrist protection.
On the wrist, yep.
The Warroad Hockey brand also has the shirt with
the wrist guard.
The wrist guard and the neck guard. CCM. They also, you could just get the attached one where it's not a shirt, but it goes around your neck.
Shock Doctor has some.
If you have a goaltender, they also have ones that will fit underneath your chest pad. It kind of covers more of your chest plus the neck area. So there are options. My kids currently have the Bauer shirts.
Yep.
We like them. They're pretty breathable. So that quick dry material too. But there's definitely something you might want to get before August rolls around, though, just because I feel like people are going to start last minute buying and you don't want to get out of stock. But
we panicked and bought as soon as it happened. I'm like, I'm buying them because I knew eventually this was going to happen. And I believe it is a thing. I don't even think they're allowed on the ice. I didn't look up the official rule. I don't think you can send a kid. It's not something where you can send them and take a penalty or a bench minor. I'm pretty sure it's you don't step on the ice.
Well, it's like with a mouth guard. If your kid steps on in the game without a mouth guard, they have to get on the bench.
My kid never wears a mouth guard. I never reminded that. Mine was half in my mouth, half out, and I chewed.
Oh, I had a bottom one.
Smithereens.
My orthodontist made me a bottom one so I could talk better as a goalie, yell at my defense better.
Which you need.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it doesn't seem like it should be a controversial topic, right? This is safety. But it is. It is something of, I mean, yes, Adam Johnson's super tragic. But also, how often do we see this? And could it still happen, right? I mean...
Right. Do we want to see it again if it could be prevented?
Agreed. 100%. I actually saw, this is not a neck one, I saw in a game, like I was there in person, somebody got their femoral artery. I mean, it was literally just like squirting so much blood. And I know some of them make cut resistance pants now for the same thing, both around the ankle and the thigh area because of the breezers can get, you can get a skate up the breezer, you can get a stick up the breezer. It's brutal to see in person, so I can understand the shell shock and the terror of that.
I think personally for me, my kids are young enough too, where if I get them started, this is just one more extra layer of protection. They're not going to think anything different of it. If it were me, and all of a sudden I am older and now there's one more thing that I'm not, you get that feel. You have what feels comfortable. And all of a sudden, if someone told me, I mean, granted, I probably would wear one, but it would be nice to have the choice.
Right. So should it be like a different cutoff? Okay. So granted, if I was to put it on now and I had to do it, I'd get used to it eventually. My bigger thing wouldn't necessarily be like having the neck part. It's that I didn't like a lot of stuff on. Like I was very minimal under my equipment because it's hot. You sweat and you get hot quickly.
I only wore a sports bra.
And that's what I wore. So now all of a sudden, I don't like just the neck guard ones. They're so thick and big that I personally wouldn't like it on my neck. But those shirts can be hot. And so we have a couple of the Bauers, but then we actually found one at the Hockey Expo. I can't remember the brand. I can add it in the comments when we post, but my daughter liked way more because it is not as thick away from the neck and the arms. So the actual torso part and stuff was way thinner because she was getting so hot. She's like, Mom, I don't like this. My son, he doesn't know. He's like sweet. He just wants to be like his sister. So he puts it on, loves it. It's great. They can share sizes because he's a beast. But it is something, I don't know that I could get used to it. I mean, okay, that's not true. I could get used to it, but it'd be weird. And I don't know that I would want to go through that weirdness.
I mean, when you think about it, we have all this equipment, and granted, there's some injuries that there's no way to prevent them.
Right.
This is a fluke, injury that could be preventable. And, as a parent, I don't want to risk my child being the one that gets their wrists ran over by a skate or
That's
nicked
true.
in the neck or something. And so I'd rather just have them wear it, have peace of mind. But definitely drop in the comments your opinions on this new neck guard requirement because I'm interested.
And this was actually one of our questions too. Someone brought in this week and they shared the same thoughts on that, in that I see no problem with putting kids in it that are starting, right? Your mites, your squirts, even your pewees. And they said, me as an adult now, if somebody told me it would be hard, I'd adjust, but I'd prefer not to.
Yeah.
And then maybe like those Bantams and those high school age kids, we give them the choice. You're getting to that point where when do you start let people make their own decisions? I get that 18 is adulthood and you're whatever. Right. When do we let these kids make their own choices about it?
Well, you even see in the NHL now.
Yeah.
Starting last fall, there's plenty of players that are wearing them now.
They are out there. Definitely. Like you said, the Warroad brand, TJ Oshie. There are times he wore it beforehand. Love his brand, by the way.
Yeah.
Totally will push that coat. Love it. Every cent. Loved it. But it is hard. It's definitely going to be a hot button subject because there are some people who, even though this is safety and that was a terrifying event, there are some people who are very against it, mostly on the sense of I should get to pick what my kids can and cannot do. But when you look at it as a sense of protection, you can't send your kid out there without elbow pads. Yeah. You can't send your kid out there without breezers. Like you can't send them out there without the safety equipment that's already required. This is just another piece of it.
Yeah. Well, it's also tough because now it's one more financial piece added
to they're not cheap.
A long list of things when it comes to hockey. But yeah, it'll be interesting, especially as August approaches.
Get them before the 1st. August 1st.
Yep.
Amazon, that's where we got ours. I ordered them immediately. And when I ordered ours, smalls were back ordered like 4 months.
Yeah.
And I think that was in November I did because it was shortly after the incident in October. I was like, I'm jumping on it now because I know.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, that booth at the expo that was selling them, it was packed. Like people were all about it.
Good though.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, my kids are young enough that they don't care.
Yeah.
My daughter just knows now it's in her bag. She puts it on. No big deal. I mean, there's times we're like walking out, going to Target, and she still has it on. I'm like, you could have taken that off. Like, yeah, weirdo.
Yeah. Speaking of questions.
Yes.
What else do we have?
All right. So we have a question from Matt about how do I know what size stick to get my kid with the Flex? Also, how do I know what size skate to put my kid in?
Yeah.
Definitely something I think is a hard topic. I've actually had a friend whose kid, he's newer to hockey and his kids are playing and he's been at Strauss and he has actually called me and he's like, what do I do? Like,
overwhelming.
What does this mean? It's
a lot of options.
So many options. Stick height. I have always gone by nose without skates, chin in skates.
When it comes to Flex,
how much? So like the Flex is how much when you lean into that bottom hand on your stick, how stiff is it and how much can you bend with that, right? What's your Flex? How much give does it have? Kids, you're going to want to be lower.
Well, why is Flex so beneficial? Because you get that snap.
For your shots. So that's what the Flex really is for. So you lean into it when you're shooting and then that snap. And we've kind of talked about that too. Some people I know about these new sticks that are coming out compared to even when we were younger and this snap that they have to them. Shooting has changed.
Yeah.
How you shoot, right? You don't have to draw as far back and go. Because of these, you get all of that snap that you used to get from drawing your stick back. You get it from that Flex. You get it from having a little bit of a lower Flex and getting that bend in there and really being able to snap it.
The lowest Flex is a 10 Flex, correct?
Yep.
Is there anything lower?
No, I'm pretty sure it starts at 10.
So that's what my kids first started off with.
Yep.
And then as they get older and they get stronger, that Flex number can start increasing.
Yep.
Personally, I think it's a personal preference. But if your kid really doesn't care, I think you could just kind of do a Flex test to see if they can even flex it at all. If they can't even get a tiny bend, like that number's too high, just lower the number. And then with a curve, as a goalie, I don't have to worry about Flex. I also didn't really have to worry about my curve. So
this is all showed up and you were like, here's my stick. I feel like as a kid, it's not like when we're talking young kids, when you get into college and professional, you're custom making your curve, right? That curve is helping with how you're gripping that puck and you're getting it in. Mm-hmm. I've had kids talk to me now too about it. Everybody's waiting to like doing the Michigan now.
Yep.
How do I do the Michigan? How do I do the Michigan? Right. So getting that curve up, and that's what helps you get that lift under that puck. Again,
Yeah.
it's something that's really a preference. Most of them now, when you go, they have a name of a professional on it, athlete on it,
Yeah.
and that's usually the curve similar to what they use. And I am pretty sure some children I know pick it strictly based on whose name
I'm pretty
is
sure
on that stick.
my oldest has a McDavid stick.
It's not making enough of a difference now for kids. It's really not. I think if you're getting that flex and if you're getting the stick height right, flatter, obviously, right? So if it's flatter, you're not getting as much under that puck. Some people are more. It's really just about getting under that puck and how you want to shoot.
Well, I also think if you want to start, your child or even yourself want to start playing around with the curve of your blade, there's so many hockey stores that have shooting areas.
Oh my gosh,
and
yes.
so
that's a
you
huge
can
thing
just
now.
take your time, work with, all the individual sticks that you are contemplating and then kind of see like, well, what works for you, what feels better.
And I guess I should have mentioned this too. Again, not everyone is in the hockey world. The curve curves the way, also depending on if you're left or right-handed. I guess I should bring that up too.
Yeah.
So like when you're right-handed, it curves
To the left.
to the left. When you're left-handed, it curves to the right. That was a fun one with my kid, trying to teach her how to raise the puck because I am right-handed and she is left-handed.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like showing her things and she's like, well, what do I do? That's something too that I didn't think to mention because that is something, not everyone knows that, right? I remember my kids started out with a straight blade, just straight, no curve because you don't know what handed they are yet.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the best option when your kid is young. If you don't know if they're going to shoot left or right-handed, they have sticks with no curve at all.
Mhm.
So it's helping to figure out what handed your kids are. So that's a good option when your kid's starting. Just get that flat blade stick and let them try it out. As far as skates go, my rule of thumb when I was a kid was always one size smaller than your shoe size in a men's shoe as a woman. So like I didn't go one size down from my woman's shoe size. I went one size down from my men's shoe size.
Okay. I just went to the store and had them measure me.
Which is also
That always works too.
Yeah. And now, like we were talking about it too, the Bauer experience.
Yes.
So cool.
Okay. So the last time I had to get my kids new skates, a couple of different hockey stores we went to had this thing called the Bauer experience. And basically it's this little platform. You step on it. There's placement for your feet. And then it literally scans your foot. So like it scans your arch, the size of your foot, the weight balance you have on your feet, the width. So that was really good to know because my youngest son has wider feet. And so there's certain brands that will just fit his feet better. And then my oldest son has really narrow, long feet. And so it told us so much more than I was even aware of.
Right.
Not just size. It was literally like, what's going to fit your kids the best, right?
Does it only do Bauer skates or will it talk to you about other skates?
I wasn't looking at the screen. The person helping me had more knowledge. So I don't know if they were going off of the screen or if they were also telling me what other brands.
Once they saw the information. And then will they do it for free or did they charge you?
It was for free.
That's
completely for free.
I know a lot of these hockey expos, again, great time during the state tournament. We'll definitely be there for that. Walking around. They had it there. Actually, they had it in the X during the tournament. It was in the actual concourse at the Xcel Energy Center, and there was a line, and it was cool. Again, something that did not exist when we were
it's
younger.
amazing. It's incredible.
But even like baking skates was becoming a thing when that wasn't as much of a thing when I was younger. Like I went in and I remember as I got older, I got a new skate and
then it became a thing.
Yeah. And they baked them and then you tie them super tight and it helps form it. Now these skates are becoming so customized. Granted, those are some pretty expensive ones that, they're almost molded to your foot.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I know True is doing that. The new True.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
My daughter almost broke my heart when she got to try on a pair of Bauers and a pair of Trues and loved the Trues compared to the Bauers. And like, we are diehard Bauer. And I was like, oh my gosh. But she's like, they're so much more comfortable.
I see them everywhere.
And they're everywhere. Everyone is wearing them. As a parent, I will tell you, they're tight. All right. So around the ankle, they get a very tight tie, which is great ankle support. But we had to figure out untying them was so hard because it I don't know if it locked in somehow. Getting that first loose on your skate, we had to take her tongue and go back and forth to be able to get our finger under it. It was terrible. So if your kid has sure skates and you're struggling with it, it helped us immensely, but it was so hard to get those untied that I was like, I almost got rid of them, even though she loved them. Because I'm like, I can't get these stupid things untied.
Yeah.
But once we did and we figured it out, she loves them. And I've talked to people who are diehard anything, diehard Bauer, diehard Easton, diehard CCMs. They've tried the Trues and they've loved them. I know. I'm like,
I've wondered. I'm like, I don't even want to try because I know I'm gonna love them.
and then I'm gonna.
And like, what do I need new skates for? I did get new skates a couple years ago though because they got ran over by a car. But other than that, I think I'll be good until
are still from high school. Bauer Vapor 20s from high school.
there you go.
Well, I mean, I'm not on the ice enough to justify doing a new pair.
Mhm.
So,
I feel like that's a shout out for the quality of those skates too.
yeah. But now let's get on the ice more, and then I'm going to need new ones. I'm going to justify it, you guys.
Oh, my dad always
Justify.
justified growing up
Yeah.
getting goalie pads. My dad was a goalie, and he always justified why he needed to customize and have new pads.
Obviously. Did you see my favorite goalie pads at the state tournament this year? Shout out to Cretan Durham Hall.
Oh,
the
those are
Zubas.
phenomenal.
Zubas, the blocker, the glove, the helmet.
That was
Zubas.
art.
Purple, gold, and white Zuba pattern. Loved it. And I was like,
Oh.
there's part of me that was here for my kid becoming a goalie, just so like I can do this eventually. Here for it.
Well, in sections, the White Bear Lake goalie had all black pads. And then
Look.
my youngest was like, he needed new pads because he's grown. Like, I really
Okay.
want all black. And I was like, after seeing White Bear Lake playing sections and their goalie, who was phenomenal, shout out, I'm here for the all black goalie equipment. Like, it was just so stealthy and sharp. So,
It does take a lot for me to commend those White Bear boys.
because I also had all the white.
You were white.
And
did the
so
white.
my little magic erase marker
Oh, yeah, you cleaned
before like
Yeah.
state or big like
Yeah, when
tournaments
you're
or
on
whatever, I was
big
like,
screen.
you know,
Yeah,
scraping those puck marks off. But
I did like the all black look. It looked good.
it looks
And I agree. White Bear's goalie was phenomenal this
Yeah,
year. Both
killed
my
it.
favorite. And then another question. Somebody asked about the PWHL and checking. Girls hockey never had checking. Always drove me nuts.
Mhm.
Hated it. Why not? I understood the game wasn't developed. They were nervous about head injuries because too many people skated like this, going into boards. All right, but now we have it in the PWHL. There is checking. Thoughts, opinions.
Oh, I have a lot of thoughts. And this also ties to youth hockey and now that there's no checking until
Bantams.
Bantams.
Used to be Pewees.
Obviously, I'm a female. I've never had checking. But just like, you know, growing up and stuff, in my opinion, the younger you start checking, the quicker you learn how to properly check
Yep.
or to be safe when you're checking, how to take a safe hit, right? Like that's
Which is
a
huge.
learned
Taking
thing.
a hit is a learned, yeah,
Yeah.
and just as important as giving.
And to me, Bantams,
Too late.
those boys, they're already so big, so strong. And if you have a Bantam, you know that they're kind of wild, right? Like
No,
they're
15-year-old boys, 14-year-old boys, never.
And so it's like, I wish that they could learn it's safer younger when they're not as big and can't do as much damage.
I agree.
Anyway, when it comes to the PWHL, let's go. Like,
Love it.
this is
Let's
huge.
do it.
I love this.
Yep.
However, my thought is, so now that professional women can start checking, when did they learn? How did they learn? And now when it comes to the youth girls level, will checking become a thing?
I think it has to. So I think eventually it's going to have to trickle down to college, right? And then
Mhm.
trickle down to high school. And then I guess you would say U15s, right? That'd be the equivalent of the boys'
Yeah.
Phantoms.
Yep.
And eventually it has to. I think that you have to, if it's going to be part of the game at that elite level, you have to allow it to be part of the game lower down so that they learn to properly do it. They learn to, I mean, I think the PWHL girls did phenomenal. I think they were putting out some good hits, but you can see in those first couple, like it was awkward.
Well, it's a
They
new,
weren't
new thing.
comfortable.
They're
because-
like,
and it changes the game, right? So it's harder to weave through people when all of a sudden you can hit someone. So
Mhm.
speed changes, signaling changes. The game itself changes when you put checking into it.
Yep.
All together.
Mhm.
And these ladies had played hockey one way forever. And now you're adding an element that completely changed the game.
and I think that I'm for the checking and
100%.
women's. It's just like, well, how is this going to affect the trickle down effect for women's hockey?
I think we start now. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's a thing where, all right, so U12s, we start talking about it, right? As soon as they become 15s, that's when we put it in there. And so I think that's going to stink that some girls are going to miss out on that. And then it trickles up from there, right? So like these U15s, when they get to high school, when they get to college, and it's going to have to, I don't think we're going to be able to just throw it in there. I think you're going to have to pick a birth year and it's just going to move up with them. I think that's the best way to do it. I don't know if that's how they'll do it. I don't know if they're going to want to go down, right? Like go from PWHL to college to high school. I don't know if they're going to want to go that progression, or like I said, I think it's best to pick a birth year where we start and then it trickles up with them.
Year 2025, the 2000 whatever birthdays will start implementing.
Yes.
So
I think that's, I don't know. I think that's their best option.
Yeah.
But I definitely think it's a topic of
it'll be interesting.
importance. I think it needs to happen. I think it's going to make girls hockey more entertaining for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's something
exciting
we
though.
do.
I never even thought I would have this conversation about professional women's hockey.
Yes.
And then talking about pecking. Like never in my life did I think that would be a thing. And
which I love. This was a great season. Watching it was great. I loved it.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that they eventually expand teams. We're at 6 now. I think they give it another year or two of that. And then I think they need to expand out. I know
they'll have the numbers for sure.
I think they will. I think they'll do it. More success for them.
I think that might be it today.
I think that's for today. Everybody, thanks for joining us. Again, comments, questions, anything you want to know about, drop a comment, follow us, like us, subscribe on YouTube. We'll keep coming at you with different content.
Yep, absolutely. We're happy to be here.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Hockey Moms with Stanley's Cups. Join us in 2 weeks when we have special guests with us, our dads, discussing what it was like to raise hockey girls.